Welcome to another episode of the Michele Tafoya podcast. Can we all agree, since we saw the nation's report card and scores were down, math scores were down significantly, reading scores were down, especially for kids right around that 13 years of age, something's not working. Now, we can blame it all on COVID, or we can say, are we really competitive with the most academically focused countries on earth? Like China? I don't think that we are, and we should be. Frankly, every school worldwide should have really high, challenging standards for their students, but especially here in America where we can afford it. So what's the answer? I don't think it's throwing more money at the thing, not the thing as it exists now. Let's discuss it after this.
Welcome to the Michele Tafoya podcast.
I have on this show numerous times talked about why I believe in school choice, and I continue to believe in it. And you know what? We're seeing a lot of movement around this topic lately. And we have said that COVID invited parents into the classroom, not by choice, but we all kind of saw as our students were learning virtually and were at home more, what kinds of things they were being taught, where the emphases were in school, not necessarily on reading and math and science, but on social issues and activism. And now in New York, apparently mindful breathing is going to be required in New York City public schools if the mayor has his way. I don't have a real problem with 5 minutes of mindful breathing, as long as they say, if they tell kids, but during that breathing, you can't pray. I don't know how they're going to police that, but that would be really wrong. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked here, but the education system in America is broken. I think we've established that. The nation's report card came out. They've been doing this since sometime in the 70s. And reading and math scores are down. Now, in order to function in the world, you got to be able to read labels, read price tags, read bank notices, read instruction manuals, read employment manuals. You've got to be able to read. And the fact that so many kids in America can't is really stunning. And the numbers are going in the wrong direction. So rather than just say, let's fully fund, as they're saying here in Minnesota where I live, let's fully fund our schools. What does that mean? That's not a defined number. That's not a specific thing to say fully fund. What the hell does that mean? If someone can come on here and tell me exactly what it means to fully fund, it sounds great. It sounds like we haven't been fully funding schools, so let's do it, and that will solve the problem. I just don't buy that. I think that there are so many other issues, but one of them is that 90% of the schools in this country are run by the government, and they're not doing a good job. Just like they don't do a good job of managing our money, just like they do a lesser job of managing the post office. So private companies like UPS and FedEx have stepped in to say, you know what, if you really want your letter there overnight, we got you. We'll do it. You have to pay a price, but you'll do it. So that's why private schools are seeing more people coming to them, and these magnet schools and other schools. So there's an interesting piece in the Wall Street Journal I want to get to, because I'll tell you what the title is. School choice is not about test scores. The narrow focus on achievement deputizes regulators rather than parents as arbiters of school quality. Again, we have these unelected regulators telling us how school should be and what makes your child educated. It takes parents out. Now, not every parent is an expert, but what parents do care about is that their kids learn to read, write, and do math. That's what they care about. So we're going to get to this. There's another thing I care about. It's your skin and my skin. And you want to know the biggest summer secret to great looking, glowing summer skin? Well, it's a lot more than just wearing your sunscreen and staying hydrated, although those are important. It's having great skincare products delivered to your door from our friends at Genucel. There's, sure, sun, humidity, dehydrated skin, covered in dark spots, puffier bags under our eyes. All of us have these issues, but I'm so glad Genucel has the perfect answer. Introducing Genucel's beautifully curated Summer Essentials package. It's a limited edition package, including Genucel's one-of-a-kind Ultra Retinol Super Moisturizer that uses a powerful plant extract alternative to retinol. And there are no harsh side effects. You know, sometimes with retinol, you get the harsh side effects. This is also perfectly safe to use in the summer sun. Plus, in this summer specials, you'll get Genucel's classic skincare therapy for under eye bags and puffiness. I love that stuff. And concentrated vitamin C serum to nourish your skin for a visibly clear complexion with a glow that's going to get you compliments wherever you go. Go to genucel.com/Michelle with one L right now. Get your Genucel Summer Essentials package. And just for the summer, every subscription order includes a customized summer spa gift box absolutely free. Order now, and every summer package includes Genucel's immediate effects also free. With its immediate effects, results are guaranteed in 12 hours or less, or your money back. Nothing to lose there. Don't wait. Go to genucel.com/MICHELE. That's Michelle with one L. Genucel, GENUCEL.com/Michelle, Genucel.com/Michelle. So I find that a lot of the editorials in the Wall Street Journal, you might not have time to read them, but I can read them to you and give you my thoughts on them. And this one is near and dear to my heart. School choice is not about test scores. The narrow focus on achievement deputizes regulators rather than parents as arbiters of school quality. It says a new study out of Stanford indicates that charter schools are outperforming traditional public schools. The title of the study is Charter Schools, the Latest Evidence. School choice supporters who use this to claim victory are making a mistake. Now that's interesting. Right away, this grabs me because I think this is a great sign. Charter schools are outperforming public schools. I'm a school choice person. I believe in charter schools, but they're saying, hold on, don't take the victory lap just yet. The study matches students in charter schools to those in traditional public schools who profile similarly in terms of achievement history and demographic profile. The methodology assumes that differences in test scores between these students are the effect of attending a particular school. But there are unobserved differences between charter students and traditional public school students beyond demographics and achievement history. For example, parents are sometimes required to commit to certain levels of involvement with the charter school, potentially screening out more disengaged parents. So again, what that means is if you sign your kid up for a charter school, you're saying, if I sign on this dotted line, I promise I will stay engaged with my child for X number of hours per week. This I will do. That is not required at a public school, not that I'm aware of. And so right away, disengaged parents who, I don't have time for this, they're going to stick with the public school. And that may affect a child's achievement. Of course, it would affect a child's achievement. For whatever value it might provide, the Stanford study can't precisely quantify the effectiveness of charter schools when it comes to test scores, and that's okay. A successful and noble choice movement should lead with honesty. Amen. After protracted and harmful school closures and a wash in woke curriculum with insane theories about gender and race, we should recognize choice as an intrinsic good, an end unto itself. Narrowing the focus to test scores only creates another system that deputizes regulators rather than parents as the arbiters of school quality and accountability. That's the very problem school choice should seek to solve. So that's interesting. I mean, the idea here is that when you say test scores measure the outcomes, who's looking at that? Regulators. And regulators, they design the tests. So this isn't necessarily the exact way to say, hooray, hooray, charter schools work, public schools don't. So I like this notion that the school choice movement needs to lead with honesty. And it does. We need to be transparent. These are our kids we're talking about. And no one cares more about kids than their parents. Now, look, we realize there are exceptions to that, right? There are kids who are abused. There are kids who are abandoned. There are exceptions to every rule in life, every single one. So, but in the whole, in the main, parents who are engaged, who are there to help their kids, really care about their kids, love their kids, want the best for them at school. And so, yes, if charter schools sort of weed out parents who aren't going to be as engaged, then that's an issue. That's part of that's a variable in how a kid does in school. So this is interesting. And all of this news about school choice is interesting as we're getting it during the summer when a lot of kids aren't in school. But it's important to digest this on the heels of a really depressing and distressing nation's report card. And I think we need to believe that report card. I think we need to understand that while you may be surrounded with really bright kids who are successful in school, there are a lot of kids in our society, a lot. Some of them may live across the street from you. Some of them may live downtown, on the other side of town, wherever, in a different state. But there are a lot of kids who are being underserved. And look, if we thought we had all the answers, we'd solve the issue. We don't have all the answers. But I do think it's really important to provide parents the ability to choose where their kids go to school. And some of that is done, heck, when people are buying a house, what school district is it in? They want to know what school district is nearby so that their kids have a good shot at attending a good school. But even these good school districts have been suffering. And what I just read you again, I want to point out, is from the Wall Street Journal opinion page. So when they talk about insane theories about gender and race, that's this writer's take on it. And I happen to agree with some of it. I don't think K through 12 is where we need to study critical gender theory or queer theory or any of that theory. When we can't turn out kids who can read effectively, who can write grammatically correct paragraphs, and who can't do math, we're a swing and a miss here. We are striking out big time. We're not serving the kids. We're not serving the parents. And this, again, is taxpayer dollars, your money, that pays for these schools. So we ought to be a little embarrassed about this. There's a lot to be embarrassed about right now in the state of government-run in institutions, but this is certainly one of them. There is a lot of movement where it comes to school choice and evening out the playing field in terms of funding. You're seeing a lot more movement, for instance, in places like Wisconsin, Oklahoma, for distributing the money so that a parent who wants to send their kid to a charter school or a private school, they're getting close to the same amount that it costs to educate that kid in a public school. To me, it should be straight up even. If it costs $5,000 to educate a kid in public school, you should give them $5,000 to apply to a private school. And everyone panics that this is going to hurt public schools. If you say that it costs $5,000 per student to educate a kid, to educate our children, then if you lose one kid, you lose the $5,000 that goes with that kid. But you're educating one less kid, so you don't need that extra $5,000. And by the way, if public schools are really that concerned about this, then damn it, be competitive. Raise your own standards. Become a shining example of what a public school can be. There are some out there. They're out there. There should be more. We should demand more from our teachers, our administrators, and maybe even our parents. Maybe all schools should have a requirement that parents sign off. Look, I'm going to be there for my kid. I'm going to help. I'm going to support. But again, we know there are exceptions. There are parents who cannot do that or just won't do it. But they're still the parents. And it's up to them. This is such a tangled issue, but there's so much going on about it. Again, I'm going to keep this one short. But I do think we need to be necessarily alarmed by the numbers that we saw, and don't just assume they're going to bounce back because the COVID pandemic is over. I hope to God we never let lockdowns happen again. I hope to God that we've seen that the science didn't necessarily yield the results it said it would, and that kids are resilient and strong and should be in the classroom. It's mental health as well as education. They need to be in the classroom. So much has happened since COVID. You see depression rates going up. You see more kids on devices. You see the scores going down. All of these things. that are this result of this, I hope, blip in history that I hope some honest documentarians are going to take down, be honest about, transparent about, and write about, so that we look back at this and say, where did we screw up? Because we know, for one thing, we screwed up in the schools. We screwed up in the schools. And we're continuing to screw up in the schools. And this is, of all the resources that we have in this country, our people are the biggest resource. They're the ones who create, who produce, who serve, who are the productive members of society that we want. They need to be served. And not just the wealthy kids. All of the kids need to be served. And this isn't just about, well, pour more money, fully fund. You can tell this one gets under my craw. Fully fund our schools. Please, please, please tell me what that means. When is it fully funded? When we spend $1 million per child? When is it fully funded? What does that nebulous term mean? What it means is we want more of your tax dollars to spend, because it's not our teachers. It's not our curricula. That's the problem. It's the money. And we want more of yours, because that's where public money comes from. It comes from you. It doesn't grow on trees. It doesn't come from the federal government. And even if it does, it's still your money coming out of your paychecks. Don't you want it used wisely? So check out some school choice websites. See where you can go and be helpful about this. Maybe tutor a kid. Find a kid that needs help reading. Do something. One little tiny thing to help out in this movement. I believe in it firmly. There are few things I believe in more than school choice. And again, you're hearing from the daughter of a public school teacher, a retired public school teacher. She turns 92 in a week. So happy birthday, Mom. Happy birthday, America. 4th of July season is here. And America is made great by its mind, its mindfulness, its brains is what I'm trying to say. Still drinking coffee. It's made great by our thinkers. So let's give our thinkers what they need. And first and foremost, that is choice. I'm Michele Tafoya. Don't forget, be brave and do good. And we'll see you next time.